Hello everybody and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Today you join me on another walk. It's a beautiful day and so I've kind of gone somewhere for a walk a little bit different but kind of similar to where I am normally. There's a forest to one side. This is what we'd call a green lane in England. A lot of the green lanes are actually used for cattle movements and transfer. They would have walked them. They're the oldest kind of lane, and although this one has tarmac initially, it then goes into a dirt track, which would have been the original, and away halfway in between here where I am and the main road there's actually an old pond that the council have let grown over because they don't care, but that would have been where the cattle would have watered and overnighted. So quite interesting really, piece of history that we have around Norfolk. We still have the memory, or some of us do, of the knowledge of that kind of thing going on. So beautiful day again. So the sun will be coming off and shining off the camera again. It's how it is, isn't it? You know, it's how it is. So again, it's a lovely day, so I'm not sat in front of the computer. Yesterday I did mine in front of the computer because it was blowing a gale, warm but blowing a hooligan, and I couldn't have got the quality of the sound. So today we're having a little stroll again. Now, I was going to talk about something else, but recent kind of events coming out of the Middle East has kind of made me think perhaps I should talk about this a bit more, because again, this is kind of kicks into yesterday's Gatekeeper 1 and control mechanism, and it really is a control mechanism that we're talking about here. You know, we're talking about a lot of skullduggery, you know, on a scale that's beyond what you can imagine. So yeah, we're gonna talk about a fairly touchy subject, to be fair, for many, but helicopter going over. Yeah, it can be a touchy subject, but actually it should be. And the reason why it's a touchy subject is because what the gatekeepers have done and part of their control mechanism. So, you know, to be fair, you should be able to talk openly and not, you know, be accused of anything, because you should be able to express your truth fully, which is something we're currently not necessarily permitted to do, gatekeeper wise. If it's not a platform like the one I'm on, and let's be fair, a couple of comments about the amount of ads. I did a 38-minute video yesterday, and there was 10 ads in 38 minutes. That's gatekeeping. Exactly what I spoke about. I found a button to this, you know, to turn it off, and so what I shall do with all my videos for the first X amount of hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, that I post them, I'll disable the ads mid-roll, and then I might turn them back on again. I don't know, but I have to go into every single one and play around with the settings, and 10 in 30, I mean, an advert every 3.8 minutes is a joke, and you can clearly see why they're doing it, because they want to stop me. You know, I also had that I wasn't coming up in people's feeds as well anymore, so I guess I'm over the target, and There we go. But obviously in the UK we have the government. In fact, all governments are acting on behalf of their masters and not in our best interest. They never have been. Captured operation, all is. Just say yesterday's video, I kind of cover that in a little way. It was just an overview, really, nothing too deep. There's lots of things I could have gone into in a deeper way, you know. Certainly with the media, something I didn't say was tell lies in vision. The media, apart from saying it 3 times, that it's casting, it's spell casting. It's a network that casts, and it's a broadcaster. So it broadly casts the spell, which is all connected to what I was talking about yesterday. I meant to say that when I did the video, and I was thinking about something else, and so didn't. So there we go. So we're now at the point where the track finishes from the road, and now we have like the original, look down there, the original cattle path behind me. No vehicles can really get down here. I think you get the odd tractor or something, but odd cyclist, maybe a motorbike every now and again. But it's just nice out of the way, surrounded by fields in the Norfolk countryside, which, as you know, is what I love. So anyway, getting back to there's skullduggery at the moment in the Middle East. Now, you know me, I've got a different take on it. Always will have, you know. It's done a fair bit of research, and certainly using the archaics data, and you know, that data has always been 100% bang on, even when cross-referenced to certain subjects that I'm going to be talking about today. You know, even Google agrees. So what I'm talking about can be Googled, and it will come up. Not necessarily my obviously take on it, but we're talking about a country that never was, that was created by some very nefarious people. Some lands that were taken, were signed away by the British, who had no rights over that land. It's actually Ottoman land, Ottoman Empire, Turkey. And then we have a cleansing of a population, which is obviously still going on at the moment. Hopefully you're with me where I am talking about. That's on the news. This country has just bombed Iran and their nuclear facilities, in fact. That's a real biggie. Now, I'm going to make a statement that's going to trigger a lot of you. Perhaps some already know this. I actually don't believe nuclear bombs are actually a thing, and they can't do it. The science doesn't work. You can't split an atom inside a warhead to create the kind of thing that they're talking about. So I think, from my own research, that the nuclear deterrent is a psyop. It's a deterrent of the mind. These bombs are electromagnetic, EMP pulses, and sure, they can put radioactive material, which is just electrical material fundamentally, into these things and create. But when you look at it and start really looking at it, look at Japan, Hiroshima, people are living there. Geiger counters are illegal. I'm not allowed to have one there. That's because the Geiger counter wouldn't be registered or anything, would it? When we look at Chernobyl, we had a reactor failure. Huge amount of electricity came out. We're electrical beings. The electricity fried the nervous system, killed people around there because of the EMP, electromagnetic pulses from this, the radiation, just electrical, another form of electrical energy. And what we see in Chernobyl these days is an absolutely green abundance, animals everywhere, and everything's growing bigger than it ever had done before. So, you know, I wouldn't want to be sat on top of a nuclear reactor, certainly not when it goes, but the radiation of that and the half-life and all that sort of stuff, it's just don't make sense, doesn't add up. And so you start taking that logic and that critical thinking into creating nuclear bombs, and I don't think so. They've certainly got bombs which have huge amounts of potential to do destruction. We know that. But the nuclear deterrent is only one of the mind. I can remember as a kid, it was shoved down our throats as kids, and we had this one particular one where they showed a nuclear bomb going off and destroying, wiping out all the buildings, and everything was all destroyed and smashed to bits and flattened. The full classic. The camera vibrated a bit, wobbled, and the camera kept rolling. So the camera kept rolling, everything else was destroyed. Bearing in mind it was a film camera then. And so they were able to recover this camera and very delicate film, process it and show it. The only thing that survived was the camera and the film from a nuclear bomb. So my advice would be to buy a load of old cameras with film, strap them upon your body, and you'll be absolutely fine. So, but the fundamentals are that country I has bombed country I and attacked their nuclear facilities. Now there's a lot of skullduggery going on here, because certainly the first country who did the aggressive movement has certainly got nuclear weapons, and in whatever shape or form they are, and will not under any circumstances allow any kind of monitoring of any other country in the world that did that. Would be sanctioned to the end of the world and beyond. And certainly there we go. Now, as I was saying, this is what's left of the cattle. I think you can just see that. You can just see like a little area here that's just like got no water, and the odd tyre thrown in it for fun, because you know that's how it works in this world, isn't it? So so this is like part of the cattle drive that would have happened for centuries and centuries. Now, recently country U attacked country R's nuclear capable planes that have to be set out on runways, part of the nuclear agreement. And they haven't even begun to pay the price for that one yet. And here we have Country I attacking another country's nuclear stuff. I mean, nuclear things really were as dangerous and such a thing, the cataclysmic events of attacking a nuclear storage facility don't bear thinking about. And again, so if it was real, you know, Jesus Christ, this is beyond dangerous. So what's all behind it? Well, firstly, money. We know the financial system's about to collapse, and those running Israel, call it Izzy from now onwards, okay, everybody? So Izzy is being run and controlled by a certain group of people, the name stealers, Kazarian Mafia, Semitics. And the Izzies are our bankers. The Izzies are the ones that created the Izzy country via the Balfour Agreement and stole the land. So the first parliament, or the first, I suppose, parliament of Israel, Izzy. Be careful, I don't say it too much because I'm going to get some kind of strike and hit and crashed across the head, and more punishment, I guess. But the Izzy first parliament consisted of everybody bar one from the name stealers region, that mafia with a K. I even shared that the other day on my Telegram group, just so you can see. Done a very short little speech about it, very short, but it's on my Telegram group, Alternative Interactions, where I show on maps what I'm talking about with the name stealers. And perhaps I need to do a much further, more deeper chat about the name stealers. I don't know, shall we maybe we'll make this a part 2. Let's talk about the name stealers, shall we? How we got here, have a bit of history. I can do the second part tomorrow, so there we go. So the name stealers were a group of individuals, Moloch and Baal religion kind of supporters, into the kind of skullduggery and shenanigans that has plagued us to this day with the little ones and everything else, okay? But we had this group of people, and this would have been, you know, Middle Ages, that kind of period. And this group of people, they were from Uke all the way through to Poland, entire area, Belarus. All that area was the name stealers. To the north of them, they had what would be Russia today, and Christians. To the south of them, they had, you know, North Africa and the Muslims. And these people traded, of course they did. And but the name stealers sat right in the middle of them. And what they would do is they would, when a traveller came through, stopped at an inn, they would befriend them, drug them, find out their name and where they're going via the drugs, all the information they could. They'd then unlive them, and the name stealer would go on to do the deal with the person, take the money, and never be seen again. And these people were very, very proficient at this. In fact, they became very, very wealthy in doing so. Banker kind of wealth. Now, it got to a stage where, due to the meddling of the J people with tiny hats, due to the meddling of the tiny hats, the name stealers had to, he said it, the name stealers were given an ultimatum: declare your allegiance with the Muslims or declare your allegiance with the Christians. And so what they did is they declared their allegiance to the Jewish faith. They became Jews, so that they didn't have to fight for one side or the other, and they could maintain their name stealing shenanigans and all the other stuff that they were up to. And from that initial group of people who took on a faith to save their skins, as it were, we then get the K Mafia, and where we are now, and also kind of the shenanigans going on with Country U and Country R. Again, if you history, it's a big subject. So the Bolsheviks and communism was created by the tiny hats, funded by the tiny hats, as a revenge for certain high profile tiny hats losing money when they tried to take over America twice via the blockading of the ports in America of the Russian fleet. And so the tiny hats can never lose out. Not the ones we're talking about, you know. There's different groups. I'm fully aware of that. I'm talking about one specific group of who are not. And the Orthodox know this as well, you know. So what I'm talking about is not against any people, race or creed. It's just a history lesson. Or it's just make believe and it's a story, and please read my disclaimer on my channel that this is for entertainment purposes only. So anyway, this KM, the Mafia, KM, lost a lot of money, and so took their revenge by unliving 100 million white Christian Russians and those around it. I mean, they even took the revenge out on the population of Ukraine. So like 10 to 14 million people starved to death when the elite KM decided to mess around with the food production. Google it. It's there. It's there. And what have we got the KM Mafia controlled governments doing at the moment? Oh yeah, they're messing with our food production. Remember, history always repeats itself, but in slightly different ways. You know, they're not very clever people, to be fair. They've got a playbook, But when they control the media, the schools, and the mind of most, it doesn't have to be sophisticated, it doesn't have to be clever, because most of the people can't see it. You beautiful family watching me, you do, because you wouldn't be watching it otherwise, would you? So we have the name stealers taking on a faith that then clearly really starts to go for it, and they join in an allegiance with the darker hidden hand controllers of the original faith of the J's, the Tiny Hats, and they form some kind of alliance, I believe. But from all this we get the bankers, the shipping magnates, the controllers over everything. It's all the same kind of people. Now, what I haven't told you about is the real control, or the old control system. So the K Mafia, name stealers, are the new kids on the block. There's a much older group, which is the group that did the deal with the devil, which is the group that signed the deal with the burning bush, Moses. And again, part of my Janus research, I go into this, and I'm putting it together at the moment. I've just done the bare skeleton of it so far, and I'm at 85 slides. And I haven't even started going out on all the filling it up and the tangents and the connections to, and where it goes from and where it leads from, and all the other things that I have to go on and off. It's a huge body of work, and would take far too long to do. Let's turn around now, shall we? It'd take far too long in one sitting. I mean, it could be a 4 or 5 hour one. So I've got to put it together, and then I've got to break it up into parts. I'm weeks away from that. So don't fret. You guys. I'm a good way away from that at the moment. So it's coming. But if we go back in history again to the original Tiny Hats, or the controllers of the Tiny Hats, the Tiny Hat controllers, and some of this then might start making sense. Now, what we have is something called the Exilarchies. So around 560 BC, around that period, over a course of 5-10 years, but we'll take the 560-ish as being around the date. Beautiful birds. Blackbird, that one. It's a blackbird. If we take the 560 BC, before Christ, 560 BC, if we take that one as being the rough date of the Exilarchy. What the Exilarchy is we have this group of tiny hats removed from countries for coin clipping and nefarious reasons, slavery, full works. And these people escaped their countries and ended up somewhere called Persia. Probably why Hollywood and that always does the Prince of Persias and all the Persian films, isn't it? Persia this, Persia that. That's because we know who runs Hollywood, don't we? Tiny hats who run Hollywood. You know, they'll give you certain clues, certain things, you know, like the Spartans, the 300, you know, woohoo, you know. Tiny hats. They were tiny hats. Don't tell you that at school, do they? Or anywhere else, in fact. But yeah. So, again, it's all that gatekeeping of the televising vision in the film, isn't it? In the Hollywood, you know, the paganistic or pre-paganistic Holywood, where we get our wands from and we can do our spells. So anyway, the Exilarchy escapes from various regions and ends up in Persia, and obviously quickly take over Persia and become the rulers of, because of the money and the wealth they took with them and the control mechanisms that they have. Remember, the tentacles didn't get cut off. Spider's web was never broken. They just moved to a different location and kept up all the skullduggery, all the shenanigans. But from Persia, they then started in a very safe area to then start to control the world, as promised by the burning bush. You know, it's not by accident. It's not by accident in any way, shape or form. They did the deal. They did the deal with Satan. They did the deal with the burning bush. They did the deal with Janus in the burning bush. And so this group of tiny hats has been protected, but also they sold out and they sold their souls. They took the shiny stuff and forsook their souls. So what do I mean by that? They're stuck in 3D. They never come out of this realm. They are the controller's toys, henchmen, and they do the bidding of the controller. And they will never ever come out of... They will never ever come out of this realm. They're stuck. They're stuck in the 3D. And so when you know you're stuck somewhere, you build the underground bunkers for protection for when the resets come. And you use your position of power and wealth to remove all the wealth of the people and hoard all the stuff that's needed, all the shiny bits and pieces that's needed. So when there's a big reset, you can pop up out of the world again and you've got all your infrastructure, all your money, everything's there underground, all the technology that's been created. And then you drip feed it to the population. Drip, drip, drip. Allow certain inventions that benefit people. Free car travel, you know, all the stuff that's been invented already. And then you want to live those people via your agents. It's a cycle that's gone on and on and on. The Moses story, I think, comes from a Sumerian story which 500 years predates the Moses story, from my understanding. And who says that the Sumerian one is the original? You know, how many times has this happened? How many resets? How many cycles? So yeah, there we go. Look, guy riding his bike without a helmet, which is totally illegal. Good on you, buddy. So yeah, he's thrown me off. He's thrown me off. That bloke's thrown me off. So the Exilarchies and their control mechanisms never finished. It's always been there. But Persia turned into Iran. Now, this is the golden bit. This is the kicker. You have the original tiny hats, and you have the new KM tiny hats. The new KM tiny hats are in Jerusalem. The old ones are in Tehran. The government of Iran are all Exilarchy tiny hats. The Muslim and the Christian faith was created via tiny hats. They took a lot of information, placed it together, messed with it, and then produced a control mechanism. And that control mechanism is what we're currently under. So we have the old guard and the new guard. Old money, new money almost, you know? And I think what we're seeing with the K Mafia, which has taken over America, United Kingdom, Europe, you know, fundamentally the K Mafia has been far more successful than the old Exilarchies. But now there's a fight between the two, and you'll see who is controlled by who when the dominoes start to fall. But it's very interesting that the Exilarchies have never attacked so far, have never attacked Izzy, the country Izzy. And you know, they make a lot of noise, jump up and down, saber rattling, but don't actually do anything. I saw a piece the other day, I can't confirm whether it's correct or not, but the Saudi royal family, you know, K Mafia or Exilarchies, either one. Why not? Makes sense. Makes sense, they're all tiny hats. Controlling the system. Why else would deals have been done? You know, the petrodollar, it's all part of the same family. It's all you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Different clans working together to strip the world and the people of its wealth. But so what are we seeing? We could be seeing, very likely, as I say, the Exilarchies versus the KMs, K Mafia. And we're going to see how this one play out. Because ultimately, only one lot of them did the deal with the devil. And so, is the devil to be trusted? I don't think so. I don't think so. So anyway, I've been babbling for 39 minutes. So I shall stop this here and I shall do a part 2 straight away while I'm on it. And I shall drop that tomorrow. So bye everyone. Love, light and blessings.